Hey everyone, it's Pam, and today I'm here with a little bit of a rant on a certain type of comment that I've gotten on my own videos and have seen other creators deal with as well. And it's the idea that I or anyone else is not old enough to be covering the type of games I cover, or not old enough to appreciate the games, or if I have anything negative to say about them, it's because I have some lack of understanding because I wasn't there when they first came out, or I didn't play them when they first came out. I asked people on Twitter if this was something they'd experience, and a number of people have experienced this before. I initially thought it was something that's probably gonna apply more to women just because, people tend to gatekeep a little harder when it comes to women talking about video games, but a ton of men have experienced it as well. Big content creators like Norm, the gaming historian, and LGR have both told me that they've gotten comments saying they're not old enough to be covering the games that they like to cover from the 80s and 90s. Hi, I'm Pam, and I'm here to talk about retro video games.
Let me stop you right there. Bad review. You don't know the controls and how to use them, and judge by your inexperience. Now, it is no insult against you. You look like you're 25 and didn't grow up with 2D games. There. That'll show her.
It's a weird kind of thing, and I wonder if it takes place in other mediums as much as it does in games. Like, if I were to make a video, if I was part of film YouTube instead of gaming YouTube, and I expressed the opinion that Citizen Kane, other than its cinematography, is kind of boring and I don't really like it, would a bunch of 90-year-olds come stomping in here saying, well, you weren't here when it first came out and you didn't see it in the theater, so you can't possibly understand why it was good. It's just something I get so much more in games, and it's so ridiculous. Like, I've also gotten stories on Twitter about people who have a tattoo of an old gaming character, and well, they're not old enough. They weren't around when that character came out. Why would they have this tattoo? Like, you can't be interested in things that are older than you are. Like, I love Led Zeppelin. Am I not allowed to because I wasn't around in the 60s and 70s? That just seems absurd to me. And then if you think of history and like historians, like, well, you weren't there during the War of 1812, so you can't talk about it.
First, you are a girl. Second, you're too young to know the original game on the Mega Drive. No wonder why you don't like it. This was for skilled players only.
I guess this thing all comes down to how I review games and how I talk about games, which is whether I played them as a kid or not. When I play them now for purposes of review, though I might, throw in some personal stories of my time with the game if it's something I have played before, I'm still playing it as I am now. Like, I'm an adult. I have a ton of games to play. I don't like it when I feel like games aren't respecting my time. I understand what was possible when these games were made. I'm not making ridiculous judgments of them. Like, I'm not expecting them to have features that hadn't been invented yet. But there's good game design and bad game design. There are things that fit your personal preferences and things that don't. And your age, or whether you've played the game before, or if you were around when the game initially released, it doesn't really matter to your opinion of a game as you're playing it right now. What you wanted out of a game 20 years ago might not be what you want out of a game now. So whereas I get people arguing with me all the time in comments saying, well, you didn't like this game because it was easy to get lost and it was obtuse and it took a lot of time and trial and error to get through, that was a feature in 1990 when you only owned 6 games and you wanted them to last as long as possible. And fine, that might have been a feature in 1990, but I'm not in 1990, so that's not the lens in which I look at the game now.
Your review was horrible, ma'am. First, you're reviewing a game that is older than you are, and you should take that into consideration, miss, when doing your reviews, and try to think of what the game experience was like in its day, miss. I said miss? Missy? No. It's a different word. Look it up, but use a dictionary that's younger than you, because you can't appreciate it if it's older than you, okay?
It just seems bizarre to me that people would try to reduce people and knock down their opinions because of age. I feel like if games and retro games are something you really love, you should want to share it with people. And it doesn't matter how old people are. There's a lot of teenagers who love retro games. Like, you think the NES Classic and the PS1 Classic are just meant for the people who played it when they were kids themselves? Like, no, it's meant for everyone. They're trying to get more people into retro gaming, and that should be welcomed. Like, I love this hobby, I want to share it with more people. If young people are watching my videos and want to try games because I've talked about them, that's fantastic. I'm not going to tell them, oh, well, you weren't there when they first came out, so you can't possibly understand them or appreciate them, and if you have anything critical to say, you are wrong. Like, in 100 years, will no one be able to talk about Planescape Torment because they weren't around when it released? That would be terrible, because I think it's a great work of art, and I would love for people to still be talking about it, and even criticizing it, because nothing is above criticism.
You don't understand about old games. They're treasures and shouldn't be treated like garbage because some young doesn't know how to play them properly. Deal with it.
For me, these kind of comments generally happen when I have negative things to say about a game. If I'm giving rave reviews to Streets of Rage or Star Tropics or The Guardian Legend, no one really mentions my age or thinking I'm too young to be talking about these games. But when I have negative things to say about a game, that's when all the people come out of the woodwork to tell me that I'm too young to appreciate these games. And this is funny for 2 reasons. The first reason is that being too young to appreciate a game is just a stupid concept to begin with, and the second concept is that I'm not too young to have played these games when they were originally released. As pleased as I am that all of the bathing in the blood of virgins I've been doing has been somewhat effective, very sticky, I have to admit that I am not too young for any of these games.
Wait a minute. Was she even alive when this game was released?
The most absurd and ill-informed comment on this topic was on my Phantasmagoria video, where someone asked, "Were you even born when this game came out?" because I didn't like it. And it's hilarious, because I was 12 when Phantasmagoria came out, so... But the point is, no matter how old you are, no matter if you played the game on the day it was released, or you just played it for the first time yesterday, your opinions are valid. If someone came along and told me that Felix the Cat was a silly game because it's childish and too easy and not challenging enough, that's fine. I disagree with them, but that wouldn't somehow allow them to time travel back into my childhood and take away all the fun that I had with Felix when I was a kid. So I guess that's it for my rant today. The main takeaway is that no matter how young or old you are, no matter if you're playing something for the 100th time or the first, you can have an opinion about it, and don't try to gatekeep or shame people or tell them they're wrong for liking something that's older than they are. That's just rude and really kind of absurd.
Thank you very much to my friends Travis, Diego, Caleb, and Joe for bringing some of my condescending age-related comments to life. They all have YouTube channels which you should check out. The links will be in the description of the video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.